All right, guys, we are live, I think. I've got a couple of thumbs up there. I'm just not quite sure. I hope everyone can see and hear me okay out there. We're going to try and get that chat up and going. All right. So Zachy King's in the chat. Well, I didn't know fights were on tonight. Well, they are here in Australia, mate. Salute to you, Boxing Deep Dive and Mrs. Boxing Deep Dive. We should be glad to hear that, mate. But this is our first crack at the watch along. This is No Limit on Fox. So it was supposed to be Akkaway and Quinlan. But here we are. We have Viliami, Liava, Anton Markovic. So the coverage has just started. So the way we're going to work this, guys, is it'll just be, well, as it says, a watch along. I can't put any vision up. I can't have the sound up because we'll get booted. So if you're watching, I'm not sure, Zachy King up there, whether you're actually going to have any footage over where you are, but we'll do our best just to describe each fight and comment on it and everything else. So what we're going to do, as we watch the fight, we'll comment as usual. So if you're not familiar with the way we do things on Talking Boxing, comments here, we'll put them on screen, of course. And now what we're going to do tonight is something a little bit different. So what we're going to do is have the ability to actually come on here and chat. Now, it's something I don't normally do. So I've got the ability to bring two people on at a time, one or two. I've actually got the ability to bring more on, but it's just the stream quality and all the rest of it and the lag and all that other stuff. So we'll just see how we go. So as I said, it's the first time doing this. Forgive the surroundings. I'm not in the normal studio. I didn't really sort of go all out. I thought we'll just do it nice and raw for starters, and we'll just see where it takes us. So we've got the four fights. So Viliami, Liava, Anton Markovic. We've got, hang on, let me see. All right, we have, what do we got? If I can find it here. All right, the fight card. No, I haven't got it here. All right, forget that. I'll see if I can find it on the Facebook page. All right. So I'm not sure we've got too many watching at the moment, guys, but the way we're going to work it is exactly the same as what we do on Talking Boxing. I'm here. I'm the host. Let's all just, well, I'm assuming you're all watching the fight. So we just pretend we're all here in the same room together as mates. We comment, we criticise. You can even boo if you want to or cheer. It's up to you. But we are just going to watch the fight as we go. And as I said, after each fight, I'm not going to do during the actual telecast too much, but after the fights, I know there's only four. We might even actually get a couple of you guys on early if you want. But I have got the ability to bring you on here for a chat. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to put the link in the chat. All right. So I think I've just put it in there. Let's hope it comes up. Now, just the other thing too, guys, there is a 20-second, about 20 to 25-second delay. So if you're watching the fight here and I'm a little bit behind or I have a delayed reaction, that's why, okay? Now, I've also got my trusty towel here because in this room, I'm actually upstairs in our house at the moment and it gets pretty warm up here. Didn't really want to put the air conditioner on. I've got the fan going, so I'm sure I'll be okay. So the link is in the description there, all in the chat. So if you want to come on, click the link. You'll then come into a waiting room and then we'll bring you on. So if you want to have a little bit of a chat before the fight start, the link is in there. And as I said, after each fight, we'll have a bit of a chat about it as well. So what the first thing I want to, actually we'll get a couple of comments happening there as we go. How do I do that? All right, so you have to forgive me. I'm not on my normal computer here, guys. I'm on my laptop. So I'm just hoping this is working. All right, so there's Dundee Luke. Yes, so the chat is working. Good afternoon, Lyndon. A couple of lads miss weight. Asias said he fun to watch. Well, what do we think about that, guys? That's probably the first thing we need to talk about. The fact that we're sitting here watching, I can't remember the name. I'll have to bring it up in a sec. The 154 pounders. They're the main event. What do you think about Renold Quinlan missing weight and still being on the card? I myself cannot get my head around it. It just doesn't make sense to me. Now I'm just going to try and there we go. I'm going to go back to a couple of comments there that maybe I've missed. Colin Spring, how are you, Colin? It's a real pity the weigh-in set the tone early on. Look, I can't believe, and I know I was a little bit vocal about this on my Instagram yesterday. Now, as I said in it, like The reason I'm pissed is because I understand that No Limit, they don't hold these guys' hands. I don't expect them to. They're professional athletes. I don't blame No Limit, but I am a little bit peeved just about the response. And I was probably a little bit pissed that George Rose was probably so happy about the situation. I'm sure that he wasn't, by the way. I'm sure behind closed doors he was pissed. Like all the Rose brothers would have been pissed, as they should have been. Because Renold Quinlan... And look, the other thing is, it's not like... I think Mick Akkaway, and I thought, knowing Mick a little bit, that he would actually respond a little bit harsher than that. But I thought he was actually quite reserved. And all he wanted him to do was lose a couple of kilos. And you look at the state of Renold Quinlan. He had some weight to lose. Don't worry about that. He had plenty of weight to lose. He could have easily dropped 2 to 3, if not even 4 kilograms. So the thing is, as I just go down the screen there, just have to get used to this. All right, there we go. All right, so there's Kyle. He says, save me a spot. Well, mate, if you want to come on, the link is there. If you want to come on for a quick chat. Haven't really done this on this computer, so you'll have to bear with me. Now, what is happening here? There we go. Look out. I think Kyle is making his move. Hang on. I'm going to put him in the waiting room for a sec. Just hang on a sec there, Kyle, if you're watching. All right, so we'll get a couple of comments here before I bring Kyle on here. So Tommy B, he missed weight a few months ago against Lucas Miller by about the same amount. Maybe they should have seen it coming. Well, maybe you would think. I would think going forward that there'll be weight checks, I would think. Jules says, to be honest, props to Bilal and his team for resisting the temptation to jump in the ring with an opponent 5 kilograms heavier following the weigh-in. Yep, I agree. All right, so I'm going to bring Kyle in here. Let's see if this works. It works. How are you, Kyle?
Hey, Lyndon. Can you hear me?
Mate, I can hear you loud and clear. We haven't really done this a lot, so I'm not quite sure how well it's going to stream. But, mate, welcome to the show. What are your thoughts on the weigh-in yesterday, firstly?
Disaster. Absolute disaster. And yet Quinlan's still in the event.
He is.
But the other bloke had to take a hike.
He did.
It was crazy.
It's ironic, isn't it? Well, is that what you want to call it? You've got the guy that actually did the right thing, made weight, turned up, did the sauna, all that sort of stuff, and made weight. And then you've got Renold Quinlan turns up, looks like he hasn't done a day's training. And I hate saying that, but you look at the shape he was in, it was pretty disgraceful. And then the fact that Akkaway gets bumped and Quinlan stays on the show and gets a payday, I don't get it. And he's about to fight now, by the way.
Oh, crazy. Absolutely crazy.
What would you have done if you're the promoter?
There's a Tasman fighter that's fighting on.
Sorry? Go ahead, mate.
Gee. I'd cut him. I'd cut him because, I wouldn't allow that. You couldn't. This guy gets rewarded for missing weight by 5 kilos.
Yeah.
5 kilos. You're kidding me.
And made no attempt to get it off.
Crazy. That is absolutely. You can't reward that.
No,
you can't. But I think thank God for use of Dib because I see him as a main event for a show like this so much better than a Quinlan.
Yeah, I agree.
That's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I agree. Well, as you were talking there, Ghetto Matt says it stinks. 5 kilos is not an accident. Well, I don't think it is either. I think he knew well in advance. Bilal is getting taken care of, I'm sure. I did hear he got his purse plus a little bit on top of that, so that's one good thing. Renold wants any hope of getting his show money, he'll have to fight who he's told on short order. Yeah, well, isn't it coincidental that Troy Pilcher just happened to be available? I don't know whether they knew something in the lead-up, but it's a little bit fishy to me.
Yeah. But the good thing is, this is them starting off. You've got 2 massive cards coming up, and it just makes me think: did we need March Madness? Did we need to have this many cards in March? It's a tall order.
Yeah. Well, my thoughts have always been that you would think that at the start of the year or at some stage, the No Limit boys sit down with Fox Sports and they say, okay, this is what we're sort of thinking. I know they've got to sort of be a bit flexible with the football and all the rest of it, but let's just try and have some idea. And the fact they've whacked, 2 shows plus a pay-per-view in the same month, It's a little bit rushed. So, and they did this the same thing last year, if you remember, as well. So it's just seems a little bit odd to me.
Shit, losing your Lyndon.
Can you got me there,
buddy?
You got me. I can see you.
Okay, good. Can you see? Yeah, you're starting to freeze up a little bit, but we'll see how we go. If it's getting too much trouble, I'll just cancel out. I was listening to I was listening to Eddie Hearn's interview today. Very good interview, and how he was talking about how he's trying to get away from pay-per-views. Like he's trying to make stuff free to air, and that's why he's been struggling with the Australian government to make cards. And you top that on with because Eddie's had some massive injury problems trying to get headliners for cards. But I can see that he wants to do it. And reading, I think there's a fighter here that's a Tasman fighter. So
who's that?
Yeah, the Kiwi fighter.
Is he? No. Is he a Tasman fighter?
Yeah, I believe so. And they want him for the next Nikita Zoo fight.
Okay. Oh, yeah. He's the main event, of course. So, well, what we'll do here, Kyle, I'm going to bump you out of here. If you want to come back on in between fights, we'll get you back on, but the fights are about to start. If Kyle or anyone else wants to jump on after the fight, jump on and we'll have a chat. But thanks for coming on in the meantime, mate. We might catch up a bit later.
Cheers, mate.
All right. So that sort of worked, guys. So, all right, into round one. So Jules says, interesting to see how Quinlan goes in this one. Has he ever fought at heavyweight? I don't know. Well, Pilcher was pretty confident going into the fight, and looking at the size difference, he's a very, very small heavyweight, isn't he? Very small. He probably looks a little bit more at or in place at heavyweight at the moment, the way he looks, Renold Quinlan. And it's surprising, though, that, as I said before, like No Limit didn't really do any weight checks, or maybe they did, and maybe they just gave him one last chance today, which is why Pilcher's been on standby. It's just, I mean, within an hour or two of the announcement, he was in the fight. So who knows? But so this is a 6-rounder. So Pilcher in the white, Quinlan in the black, which probably means nothing to you guys out there that aren't actually watching it. So keep those comments coming as we go, guys. We'll see after each round how do we score it, and we'll just see how we have it as well. But this is all new to me. So you as always, just keep the comments coming, and we'll see how we go. So it's a 6-3s at heavyweight. I haven't got my glasses on there, so I can sort of see there. So I want to see the records of these guys. Now, what's the background of Pilcher, guys? Is he a rugby player or is he a kickboxer or whatever? Doesn't look too bad, I must say. Yeah, Jules says Quinlan looks in terrible shape. He doesn't look good, but look, I think, the pace at heavyweight's a lot. He's starting to open up a little bit now. It's a lot different to obviously what's the last fight going to be? Cruiserweight or a catchweight, whatever it's going to be. Akkaway would have been a lot busier than this, so probably the heavyweight pace is probably going to set him. If he's not quite right, and the fact it's only a 6-rounder as well, he should be able to do this quite comfortably. Although Pilcher looks like he's going to try and put it on Quinlan. If I was in the corner of Pilcher as well, I'd be saying, mate, this guy work. It's obvious that he's out of shape. Obvious that he's not quite ready. So put it on him. Again, it's only a 6-rounder, and let's try and make him work. Of course, you've got to be careful with Quinlan because he can punch. As Jack Bowen found out, was it last year? He's a big boy, though, isn't he, Pilcher? So 20 seconds to go in the first round. So, again, I'm 20 seconds behind here, guys. So apologies if you've got a comment or something coming through. Hope the stream's holding up there, by the way. All right, well, that's the end of the first round. Pretty even round. I don't know. Would you give it to probably Pilcher by his work rate, I'm assuming? Well, that probably explains why Troy Pilcher was ready to go, by the way. Lincoln Hudson in the corner. Doesn't muck around. Very, very good trainer. He would have his boys always ready. And they wouldn't take the fight if they didn't think they could win. Obviously, if I had known that before I started watching this, I would have seen the logic of Troy Pilcher being the replacement. Yeah, he is. Mutsi Pilcher is a big hombre. He certainly is. So you'll probably give the first round to Pilcher. What do you guys think? Pretty even. Quinlan had his moments, but I just think Pilcher's probably work rate probably landed the better punches. David Jenkins, both look gassed already. They do. Yeah, they do. I think Quinlan will be after 3 rounds. We probably will be looking to get him out of there inside 3, because after that I reckon he'll be absolutely gassed. I think Pilcher's probably got a little bit more staying power, although I'm not quite sure his experience of what's he had, 8 or 9 fights or whatever. Yeah, the boys are now starting to find their range, starting to jab. Probably a little bit better. Probably a little bit better idea than slugging it out. Yeah, Jules agrees. He had a 10-9. Yep, I agree, mate. Not a bad jab, actually, Pilcher as well. He's got skills. As I said, if I had known he was trained by Lincoln Hudson, I would have had a whole different opinion about him coming into this fight. All right, Tommy says, yeah, I think Pilcher, Quinlan weighed in at 97. I said before the fight, so did he put on more weight? Well, he must have, because he weighed, what did he weigh? 90.88, I think the weight was. So, yeah, geez, he couldn't surely. When you're already looking like you haven't trained a day in training camp, you couldn't put on another 7 kilos, 6 kilos, surely, could you? And that was actually what I was going to say as well as we watch this, and Quinlan pinned on the ropes there. Well, he's not looking too mobile at the moment, is Renold. This is... That was the other thing that peeved me as well, guys. I was going to say at the start, as Quinlan starts to jab back at Pilcher, is that you see some of the lighter weight guys, and Liam Wilson is probably one that springs them on. I know the Maloney is the same. Pretty much all those lower weight guys, they might lose 6, 7, 8 kilos in the last couple of days before they fight. They've all got it down to an art form, and they're all in great shape. So when you've got Renold Quinlan, who's at 90 or 91 kilos, and out of shape, the fact he couldn't drop 2 or 3 kilos, he could have done that easily. He didn't want to do it, which is another reason why I think No Limit should have said hit the road. Having said that, I know they wanted 4 fights for the card, so I suppose they're probably in a just a sticky situation and probably had no choice but to leave him on the card. He's definitely feeling the pinch at the moment. What have we got? 30 seconds left in the round. Pilcher looks okay. Looks all right. So we got commentating on. I see Ben Damon there. I haven't got the volume up, but definitely Ben Damon. I think I saw Harry Garside at the start. Or was he more of a host? All right, well, that's the end of round 2. I would say Pilcher pretty comfortably in that one. So it's 2 rounds to 0 for Troy Pilcher. It doesn't seem to be blowing too much. I think a big factor in it as well is that Quinlan's not really making him work either. So Troy Pilcher's pretty much being able to dictate the pace. So when he wants to engage, he engages. When he wants to sit back and rest, he can sit back and rest. So if you go by that rationale, you should be able to fight 12 rounds. No dramas, even if you're only inexperienced like that. When you can fight the fight completely at your pace, you should be able to, as I said, go whatever rounds there are. All right, David says probably punishing him, but throwing him in with a hard punching heavyweight on national TV. Well, maybe that is the punishment. I think it just came down to, geez, what are we going to do here? He's giving me the thumbs down there, by the way, guys. That's not very polite. Not another YouTuber, is it, out there? It's not nice to give me the thumbs down. We've got a few thumbs up, which is okay. And if you gave me the thumbs down, then maybe hit the road. Go bother someone else. All right, Jules, if you didn't catch the commentary, Ben Damon said that Pilcher looking to cut down and compete at Bridgerweight. Okay, now Bridgerweight is what, 200 pound or 195, is it? Might be 200, I think it is. Well, considering that so Quinlan weighed in at 91, let's say, well, what did he weigh at 97 tonight apparently, but so you'd think the size difference, you would think that, well, Pilcher looks like he might be sort of high 90s as well. So it might even be 100, which is about 220. So is he going to lose sort of 5 to 10 kilos? It's a fair bit of weight, but obviously they think he can do it. So round 3, 2 rounds to 0 in my book. And Renold Quinlan looks spent. Although he is dangerous, and you got to watch out for him. What's that? Ghetto Matt, 225, okay. Is that what he, so what's that, 100, 102, something like that, I think that is? Oh, he's still got to watch it there, Troy. He's spent, but he's still dangerous. Right, so halfway through round 3. Pilcher 104. Okay, well, so that's about 229, I think it is. Let me get my calculator out there. Just say 104. Oh, so yeah, 229. So he'd have to lose so about 29 pounds. So about 13 and a half kilos he'd have to lose. That's a fair bit of weight because it doesn't look like he's carrying a lot. I would say, looking at him, I'm thinking maybe 4 or 5 tops, I'm thinking. But they obviously know what they're doing. Lincoln Hudson, of course, one of the best in the business, so he'd know. I still remember Lincoln Hudson. He was actually a referee in the amateurs when I was around 30 years ago. I remember him refereeing some fights. So it's amazing to see. He hasn't really changed a lot either, by the way, Lincoln. He was a bit rough and ready back in the day. He doesn't look like he's changed, but it's amazing to see that he was an amateur referee and now he's one of the best professional trainers in the country. All right, so 10 seconds ago. Let's just hope this doesn't... Well, hang on. Quinlan's got a bit of life in him. I was just going to say, let's hope it just doesn't turn into the last 3 rounds of leaning on each other. But Quinlan, he let a few go there, but I still think Pilcher won the round. You can't just expect to lay on the ropes and let a few go every now and then to win the round. I mean, his punches are okay. Pilcher really, I think, probably should, as Quinlan's resting on the ropes, go in and throw your combinations and then just step back just out of Quinlan's punching range, gather yourself, and then reload and go again. Because at the moment his punching is staying within range, so Quinlan's taking a deep breath and then letting a few go. So it just plays the percentages a little bit. If you just step back half a step. How do we have it, guys? I've got 3 rounds to 0. So that's Yusuf Dib up next against Nort Beauchamp. I like the fight. Nort Beauchamp's been around a while. Had a couple of good wins. Of course, he has been beaten by Brock Jarvis and who was the other one that beat him? He's game. He's just one of those guys that just turns up. Always turns up to fight. Reminds me a little bit of Mark Schliebs, who met Brock Jarvis as well. We all remember how that went. But, they're only small guys, but they'll turn up and give away a little bit of weight. Akuso should have KO'd Quinlan, says Kyle. Yeah, I probably agree, mate. I didn't actually see the fight live. I was away, but from all the... Akuso's such a great talent. What fight weight was that at? That fight would have been 175, I'm assuming. I'll bring up the box rec and have a look. All right. So after I said that he'd probably fade, Renold Quinlan looks like he's starting to push the pace a little bit. Maybe hoping that Troy Pilcher's just starting to gas a little bit. Where are we? Box rec. Renold Quinlan. His weight's all over the place. Is Renold Quinlan. So the Paulo Akuso fight, he weighed 174. So that's about 80 kilos. So to think that he's 11 kilos heavier in this fight goes to show that he didn't make any effort whatsoever. His last fight was at 192. That was against the Fijian guy. Lucas Miller, 182 and 3/4. So 7 pound overweight, so about 3.5 kilos. So Dylan White, before that, he weighed 179 and 3/4. Jack Bowen, 171. And that's probably no coincidence that he had his career best win. I mean, apart from Daniel Geale, if you want to include that. Daniel was obviously way past it at the time, but he's throwing a few bombs here. But the fact that he fought Jack Bowen, 18 months ago at 171, which is 77.7. So that is 13 kilos lighter than what he is tonight. So that shows he's made no effort, no attempt to actually make the weight. So we've got about a minute to go in round number 4. I haven't really seen. I think Quinlan more than anything is probably pushing the pace a little bit more in this fight. Kyle, light heavyweight, yep. Tommy seems like a really friendly bloke too, not pro champ. Yeah, he is. He's a funny little wagger, if you can say that about a boxer. His response to Dib missing weight was funny. Maybe I'll get some extra money. Well, actually, I didn't know that, Tommy. That hasn't got a lot of attention either, has it? So what... let's have a look. Let's see the weight. So is Quinlan winning this fight, this round so far? I think he is. All right, so Yusuf Dib, they haven't got the weights up. Of course they haven't. No, haven't got the weights up. Okay. I didn't know that, if that's the case, Tommy. I didn't know he missed weight as well. And he already would have been a hell of a lot bigger. Not Beauchamp's more of a 122, maybe 126. And I think, is Yusuf Dib lightweight? So 135, I think. So 75 in the Akuso fight. Yep, they would have been pretty strict about it then. What's that? Megatron TV. What fight is this? This is Renold Quinlan, Troy Pilcher. And we're after round 4, and I've got it 3 rounds to 1 for Troy Pilcher at the moment. So if you're not from Australia, I don't expect you to know these guys, but it's Renold Quinlan. If you didn't know, missed weight by nearly 11 pound. So they've put him in with a heavyweight. So as we go, guys, I'm going to just look up the main event. So after this one will be Dib and Beauchamp, I'm assuming. Then it's Isaiah Seti, who's got a misleading record. He's 2-2-1. He's up against Tai Kyun Kim, who's 8-1-1. I'm not quite sure why they'd bring a Japanese fighter out to Australia to fight a 6-round prelim fight. Doesn't make a lot of sense, especially when you would assume there's a hell of a lot of 154 pounders around that would probably take the fight. So you remember his fight with Campbell Somerville last year. He looked very, very impressive. Very impressive. Tommy, don't think he missed weight by much, but he looked pretty drained. There's Jamie Pittman. How are you, mate? Would think Dib would have got moved to main event. That's what I thought too, Jamie, when I saw the card, because not much had been made of that fight. So I must admit, when I looked at the card, I thought, why wouldn't have Dib and Beauchamp been the main event? It is an 8-rounder. The main event is 6-round. Obviously makes sense. They want to showcase the Kiwi, which again is that well known that I can't remember his name. Valami Lieva. Now I think I got his name wrong in my Instagram, so I think I might have got it back to front or upside down, whatever. But they obviously now are trying to use the opportunity to showcase Viliami Lieva and put him in line for that Nikita Tszyu fight. So they're trying to turn a negative into a positive. But this what's his name again? Sorry, I keep forgetting. Lieva, it was stopped, was it last year, by Benjamin Hussein in 4 rounds, I think it was. Let me look at his box rec. So it's going to be a tough sell. I know they'll do everything they can, just like they have with Mark Sleeves. There'll be highlight videos going everywhere if they do actually select him. But his last fight, he actually got stopped by Benjamin Hussein. And now they're going to try and showcase him tonight to have a good win over Markovic, is it? Anton Markovic. and set up that fight. Now, I've got no dramas at all in the Nikita fight. Oh, hang on, we've got a few bombs being thrown here. Oh, okay, Jules, I didn't know that, mate. Thanks for that. Liava has previously fought on a few wildfighter shows. Okay, yeah. He's. I will give him one thing, Renold Quinlan. He's hanging in there. I think Pilcher is still winning this round, though. Probably about this time in the fight where Renold Quinlan's thinking, geez, maybe if I had gone for an extra run. Or, you know what he thought it reminds me of? I know I'm being a bit mean here. It reminds me, have you ever seen the movie The Great White Hype with Damon Wayans in it? And he fights the Irish guy, and it's a classic piss take of Holmes versus Cooney. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. The Great White Hype. And he's normally in shape. He's a good fighter, and he doesn't take him seriously and gets on the scales, and he's just massive, a big pot belly. He tries to climb the ropes and can barely get up the ropes. That's sort of what it reminds me of a bit. I know I probably shouldn't say that, but it's my stream. I'll say what I want. Liava, that are now officially on the cusp of a trans-Tasman showdown with Nikita Zoo. Yes, that's the way they'll promote it, even though he's based in Victoria now. It'll be Australia versus New Zealand. Can the Aussie get the job done in his biggest test yet? The Trans-Tasman War. That's the way they'll market it. And there'll be highlight reels all over the place. But as I said before, no drama from the Nikita Zoo end. I got no issue at all with him having 5, 6, 7, another 7 fights against these type of guys. The opponents that have had maybe 8 to 10 fights. He's in no hurry. Just get the experience under his belt. I've got no issue with that. My issue is going to be having to sit through George Rose with a big smile on his face, talking up how great a fight it is, and it's the biggest fight in Australia for the year, and it's the Kiwis versus the Aussies, and all for $59.99. Discipline aside, Quinlan is a warrior. Yeah, no, you're right, Tommy. No issues there. Doesn't excuse the fact that he shouldn't be on the card, but that's another argument. So this is the last round, Mega Twan TV. So Jamie says, I like watching Dib, plenty of amateur depth and good to watch. Yeah. What did you think of his fight with Ibi Bella? Jamie, I didn't see a lot. I only saw some highlights when I was away for that card, and I saw some highlights. Ibi Bella, I thought he might have been a chance for an upset. I didn't quite think he'd get the job done, but he fought really, really well, and haven't heard really anything of him since, which is a bit of a concern. I hope he just hasn't had that win, and then he's turfed, because really these are the shows for those types of guys. So I'm not quite sure why. I mean, this is the thing. As we get into the last 2 minutes of round number 6, this is what gets me with these No Limit on Fox shows. They've got access to so many of these really, really good quality guys. And we're just getting like even the big fan of Akkaway, and I know the Quinlan fight sort of makes sense as far as his comeback goes, but to have it as a main event on this is another story. But they've got access to so many of these guys. They always put them on the undercards of the pay-per-views and all that sort of stuff, which is great. But why couldn't we maybe have seen a Yusuf Ibrahim Bella rematch to headline this card? Yusuf's obviously on it. Ibrahim, knowing him like I do, would always be in shape, ready to go. Just food for thought. Why wouldn't we see something like that on here, on this card? Unless, of course, Ibby's not ready. That's another story. But I just think they've got access to so many of these type of fighters that could make really, really good main events on here, and that's what frustrates me the most. So 50 seconds to go. Renold Quinlan is starting to put it on. Troy Pilcher, he's throwing some bombs. Can Pilcher hang on? I've got it 4 rounds to 1 at the moment, but he's under fire. 40 seconds. This is where the experience of Renold Quinlan comes out, because Troy Pilcher's trying to hang on for dear life, and Renold Quinlan can sense it, and he's just letting them go. 30 seconds to go. Tommy says, great fight, that one against Bella. Bella was impressive that night. Well, he's a former Olympian too, by the way. So he can go a bit Ibby. But yeah, it was a good fight. And yeah, as I said, I'm just surprised why we haven't really seen anything since. There's Pilcher, he's bloodied, but he's hanging in there. Can he? I think he'll hang on now. There it is. There's the bell. All right, has Ibby Bella got a world ranking now after that Dib win? That was a great performance. I don't think so, Jules. I don't think he ended up getting a world ranking. But as I said, why wouldn't he be in line for these type of fights? No limit in that respect. Now, I know Ibby was probably the opponent to Yusuf Dib. Why they wouldn't say, okay, well, we know, let's see about penciling that fight in for our No Limit next year on Fox. And the same goes with Nathaniel May and Jackson John England. That would have been, I know Jackson John England's obviously fighting in Adelaide, so he's moved on. But what a rematch that would have been to put on one of these shows. And it's not, in my opinion, I don't think it'd be that hard to do. They've got money from Fox by doing these shows. They could probably afford to pay the main event $25,000 each, which is a really, really good payday for a main event. I don't know what they're paying these guys tonight. I doubt it would be much. So they're going to save a shitload of money out of this, which is obviously why they're going to pay Renold Quinlan. But, Bilal Akkaway. But why can't you make those type of fights? They're the fights Aussie fans want to see. Aussies versus Aussies. Quality Aussies versus Aussies. And that's what they could have got. So, all right, Tommy, I saw Ibby have a loss on one of your shows, Lyndon, but talent is always there. And he looked brilliant that night. Yeah, I promoted, I can't remember, it would have been half a dozen of his fights, I think, back probably 6 or 7 years ago. Actually, the last one would have been about 6 years ago. And his first fight with me was actually a loss. It was in Bendigo. It was for the WBA Oceania title. He fought a really good Filipino named Neil John Tabanano, I think Tabano or something like that his name was. Really good fighter, and he stopped Ibby in the third round in a real kick in the ass it was. He came back and had a few good wins, and then I can't remember who it was that he fought. It was another Filipino. It was a scary knockout, actually, Tommy. I really thought that might have been it for Ibby, and it was for quite a few years. He was ironed out really, really bad. So it's good to see him back anyway. And obviously he's a former Olympian, so he goes all right. He can handle himself pretty well. Brother looks strong at 135 too. Suited him, I think. Yeah, I think so too, mate. All right, here's the decision. And it's a unanimous decision win to Troy Pilcher. No surprise. Oh, is it a surprise? I didn't actually catch the points there, guys. Sorry, I was talking over Lieutenant Dan. But, good performance from Troy Pilcher. Impressive. I wasn't quite sure what we'd get, but as I said earlier, having Lincoln Hudson in the corner tells everything. So there's Renold Quinlan. Let's hope he takes this. I was going to say maybe take it as a bit of a learning curve, but this has happened quite some time. So I'd be interested to see what happens to Renold after this. If you're a promoter, would you take a chance on him? I'm not sure I would. Unless it was a heavyweight fight, that is. Because he couldn't even make cruiserweight. And this is a guy who just over a year ago was making light heavyweight easily, 171. So he's put on, what did I say, 13 or 14 kilos. That's not age or anything else. That is just laziness and a few too many meat pies, I would think. So what do we think, guys? What do you think of that first fight? All right, so the link is still in there if anyone wants to come back on. I know it's a bit of a pain. We'll see how we go, but if anyone does want to come on, the link is in the description. But so the next fight up is Yusuf Dib and Nort Beauchamp, and I can't actually. That's right, the weights weren't actually listed, but I would think that Yusuf Dib would be a fair bit bigger than Nort Beauchamp. Jules, Cole says first, think he's cooked. Yeah, I think he sort of knows. The body language then wasn't great, was it? He got out of the ring pretty quick. Poor old Troy Pilcher, though, he didn't even get an interview. I think we could probably fill in a little bit of time with an interview. Ben, get up in the ring and do something, will you? All right, Jules, I think Quinlan's performance at both Wayne and fight suggests he might be done as a fighter, yeah. And that's what we don't want to see, that we do see quite often sometimes, is these fighters who just become journeyman opponents. I hope we don't see something like Renold Quinlan, who just stays at heavyweight and just becomes a punching bag for up-and-coming young heavyweights. I hope that's not what happens to him, because he's actually got a hell of a lot of talent. Back on the day, he was when he beat Daniel Gill. I think his first loss was to Jake Carr quite a few years ago. It might have been about 10 years ago, I think. But he's been around a while, and he's always fought whoever they put in front of him. That's one thing I will give him as far as massive kudos and credit, is that he's never shirked an issue fighting whoever they put in front of him. Well, there's Kyle's back. We'll get him back in. Hang on, I've got to work out how to do it again, Kyle. What do we think, Kyle?
Yep, and you're back.
I'm back.
Yeah. Managed to hang on just
few scary moments,
one round. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Mm.
Then again, Quinlan, yeah, I think it's probably the end of the road for him. He might get a couple more fights this year, but he's been around for a very long time.
Would you take a risk on him if you were a promoter?
To the bottom end, like if this was an opening, for sure, but not for anything major. I feel like after I think this was his last chance to headline. I think.
Mm. Yeah, I was surprised, and as I said in the first place, that he was the main event. Just like I'm looking at the advertisement for Goodman and Schleves now, I still can't believe not only is Schleves the main event, but he's a pay-per-view. But I'll give him credit. He's talked up a very, very good fight, hasn't he?
Well, I remember reading on BoxRec that Yusuf Dib was on a different card.
Is that right?
Scheduled earlier, and then he came onto No Limit instead. So that one threw me a little bit, but definitely bigger money, bigger name, for sure.
Yeah, and I think that might have even been on Billy Hussein's card up in Sydney, I think, and they've obviously pulled him off that, because I didn't really take a lot of notice who was on the card, to be honest, and I didn't really until probably yesterday's weigh and think, geez, Dib and Beauchamp are on the card. Not a bad fight. What do we think of next week's fight, Goodman and Schleves?
I'm sorry, but I cannot pay for that pay-per-view.
Are you going to pay for it? I
won't be joining you, unfortunately. I'm not this one. I didn't even pay for the Nikita pay-per-view, and I should have paid for that one because that was an action-packed fight, and I should have bought that one.
Yeah.
But this one, Schleves, he's been KO'd before. Is this a fight to make Goodman look good?
I think it's an
so we can knock him out.
I think it's just a keep busy fight, I would think. They've got George Rose on here at the moment talking. I'm not quite sure what he's saying because I've got the volume down, but it'll be interesting to see what he has to say about it. But look, it's just hard. Like, I understand they've got a pay-per-view quota to fill. They've got X amount they've got to do for the year, so I understand that. But surely, again, guys, we can do better than this. They've got supposedly the best stable in Australia.
Isaac Hardman, he is an entertainer.
Yeah.
He is a showman. We need more fighters like this, but he needs a better opponent than what he's got.
Yeah.
He needs something worldwide.
Yeah.
And this is why I pray that Eddie Hearn meets George Rose in Las Vegas and they start talking business. Because if they do, business will pick up in Australia.
Yeah. And that's the thing that's always made me wonder right along as well, is that they don't – I know they have a bit of a relationship with PBC, obviously because of Tim, but you don't sort of see them aligned with anyone. And I don't know if you've seen the round table on the D-Style.
Oh, yeah, I subscribe.
Yeah, so he always contacts me and messages me and says, he always says, why don't we see Aussie boxing, these big fights that we're watching here? Why don't we see them in America? And I couldn't give him an answer. And I was just think that No Limit would have some sort of streaming arrangement so that the Americans can see these cards, especially Nikita and Hardman.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, you're right. I don't understand why they're not free on Showtime down in America, over in America, because they get to watch Tim Tszyu, but this is why I would love to see a relationship with DAZN and Australia. Yeah. That way, you just get to view them worldwide. Tasman fighters, they can view them worldwide. The problem is with Tasman fighters, they keep regurgitating the same fighters. It looks like Connor Wallace is always the headline for Tasman fighters.
Yeah.
And I understand because all their good fighters are going across seas, are going to Saudi, they're getting their paycheck, and good for them. But they need them. They need them here if they're going to make really entertaining shows. Not that I don't like Conor Wallace, but you got better fighters. You got better fighters for better headlines.
Yeah, what they need is not necessarily an arrangement even with a TV station, it's with an app. So whether it's, or Fox Sports is a global entity, or maybe it's a main event app. So if you're overseas, you can access it, or even if you pay for it, it might be $10 or something. It's just something. But he always says to me, I would love to watch the Aussies fight over there, and of course he watches on YouTube afterwards. But he said, I'd love to be able to watch these guys that are on these cards, so we know who they are as they climb the ranks. And it just seems odd. You've got Tasman, you've got DAZN, you've got Icons with Stan, and you've got who's the other one? Premier Boxing Champions with what was it? Premier Boxing Series with Seven Mate or Plus.
Yeah, whatever. I think Stan is the only platform that doesn't fit. Like, I like Channel 7. I understand Tasman Fighters and No Limit.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, I can appreciate what Icon's trying to do. I like the talent they have that they're going to showcase. That's good. But I just don't know how long it will last.
But do you think it's ironic that out of the 4 promotions on the streaming, or on the either streaming services or on pay TV, is that the weakest cards are from the people with all the money?
You hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head, Lyndon. And the people that have no money, because I heard Angelo's not getting a dime for the new Premier Boxing Series. He's not getting a dime.
No.
He just wants to showcase his fighters, and that's one of the best cards you're going to see in April. Oh, sorry, March.
And this is what I was saying, I think, on my Instagram, and a lot of people might not know, is that it looks like it's great. Premier Boxing Series on 7 Plus, and the other one on Stan, and the DAZN and all the rest of it. The way it works is those promoters have to pay for the whole event. Those streaming services, or the 7 Mate Plus, whatever it is, they just say, all right, you give us the content and we'll put it on our channel. They don't pay for anything. So on these shows, Fox Sports are giving No Limit money to pay for production and the fights and everything else. So why are they putting on the weakest shows so far? Let's give them a little bit of credit. The last couple of years before that have been great. So I'm not going to lay the boots into them totally. But at the moment, what so far we've been given, I hate to say it's dog shit.
Well, you're not wrong. And yet we look at the cards the previous year and it's like...
Yeah, exactly.
Brother... There it is. And
got a few brandy points there.
Yeah, for sure. But even Mendoza and Fundura, you watch that last fight, there was barely anybody in the seats. They were actually getting more money to come here and fight.
Yep.
And that's what we need to do. We bring more international talent over. Bring ranked talent over.
Yeah, I think...
Get more eyes. It's what you want to see.
I think it's just a little bit, I won't say it's broken, but it's just not fully aligned at the moment. And really, when you think about it, the ideal streaming service or app or whatever you want to call it that would have been for these guys is DAZN. I mean, it's worldwide. Everyone's got it. Everyone pays a subscription. It just makes sense. Now, I'm not so far with the Tasman thing, and I think it's great. Mick's a great guy, and they're doing great things with his fighters and everything else, but not a lot of content. Now, I understand he's busy and everything else, but it just, all that aside, if you look at it black and white, the one that made the most sense is DAZN linked with No Limit. It just did.
Yeah. Well, I'll just end it on this. Eddie Hearn was talking about the Jai Opetaia fight and how it was a pay-per-view and only 10,000 people paid to watch that pay-per-view. And he said, you don't need that on pay-per-view. Give that free to air.
Yep.
Let people know who's here. Let the worldwide audience know that you've got some fighters that are killers.
Yep.
And Jai's a killer. There's no doubt about it.
And you even look at the Beterbiev and Bivol fight. They're going to give it free of charge just because that's obviously not going to sell massively on pay-per-view. So here you go, boxing fans. And I'm just not sure. These guys aren't boxing people either. I mean, they're business people, but they're not necessarily boxing people. Yep. So that's why I think they've got
they're rugby people, aren't they? Matt Rose and George Rose, they're from a rugby background when it comes to promotions.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. So, but anyway, all right, we're going to have to leave it at that for the time being, mate. We've got the fight about to start, but we might see you a little bit later on. All right. So there, just before I start there, guys. So yeah, I 100% agree there, Jamie. Dana Goodwell. Why aren't those fighters on here? Now I don't think he's with Tasman Fighters anymore. Why couldn't we have him on here? Great fighter, and there's great fights out there for him at Australian level. But anyway, I'm always whinging, I know. And there's Andy. How you going there, mate? Welcome to the show. I'm not quite sure how exciting it'll be tonight, but we're all having a bit of a chat watching the fights. So it's round one of an 8-rounder. Yusuf Dib, Nort Beauchamp. You see the size difference already there too. But no, he has got a little bit of talent, Nort Beauchamp. Good name too, Beauchamp. What we got there? And Yusuf Dib too, with obviously a great trainer in his corner in Billy Hussein, one of the best in the business. All right, so it looks a pretty even fight so far. Yusuf Dib just trying to cut off the ring, get his range. Nort Beauchamp keeping his distance in that southpaw stance. Looks like we might have a good 8 rounds coming up here, guys. More technical fight than the big boys anyway. Which turned out to be a better fight than what I expected, to be honest. That last fight. Troy Pilcher, not too bad. Geez, the size difference is just massive, isn't it? They haven't got the weight on box rate, guys. If anyone knows, put it in the chat there. Because Dib looks like he's about 5 or 6 kilos heavier. What do we got there? That's Jules. I really like Dib as a fighter, says Jules. Shame it has taken so long for him to land on the radar. Now, was he the one that was supposed to fight... who was it? It got cancelled with DNL. Or was that his brother Bilal? With Fleming, I think it was. I think it was Bilal. So a pretty uneventful round so far. You would think that Dib's probably getting the best of it just by being the aggressor, but neither one of them have landed much. Yeah. He's pretty slick, isn't he, little Beauchamp, little Kiwi? Mutsy live chat show is a winner for me, mate. Keep them coming. Well, I don't know how exciting it is, mate, but hey, it's as I said earlier, it's a bit like all the mates are sitting around watching the fights, commenting on it. So I gave that round to Yusuf Dib, by the way. Not a lot of action, but so I hope you're sort of enjoying it. What have we got? About 25 people watching. Hey, that's probably about 20 more than I thought we'd get. So it's all good. I'm happy to do it anytime. So we'll do it next week as well, by the way, for the pay-per-view. And that card, if I can remember, we'll quickly have a look at that in between rounds. Let's go back. Who's on it? Sam Goodman. He's a brave man, though, isn't he, Mark Sleeves, going up to Newcastle after what's happened? All right, Sam Goodman. Let's see who's on the card while we're going through that. All right, so obviously it's Goodman versus Sleeves. Hang on, I've got to log in. No, it's not letting me do it. Anyway, we'll have a look later. Actually, the card's on probably on Facebook or something, isn't it? All right. Oh, Andy, okay. Talk us through it. I'm in transit, had to come to Darwin. Poor you, Andy. All right, well, so far, Yusuf Dib sort of slowly creeping his way forward. Nort Beauchamp, southpaw, spent the whole round sort of backing up, being very, very defensive. Now he's starting to come forward a little bit. Tommy says, have to give it to Dib, tough for naught to get inside like the patience from both boys. Yeah, well, they're really well coached, aren't they? I mean, Billy Akkaway is one of the best out there, isn't he? So I'm going to get the card up for next week as we're going, because there's not a lot of action happening at the moment, but I'm sure that will change. What did George Rose say on the interview to their guys? I didn't hear it. I got the volume down. Let me know. Anything that we should know about? Or was it just talking up the fact that the winner of tonight's going to get Nikita Zoo? Let me know. So I'm going to turn that down a bit there. So round 2, minute gone. Pretty even round, this one, actually. Just going to wipe my brow again. It's amazing how much you can sweat just sitting here watching the fights, isn't it? All right, so next week's fight, guys, as I said, Goodman Schleves. We've got Hardman Savadera. Don't know much about him. It's just his record. Latelli and Fosso. Latelli always comes to fight. And Leiloa and Scott. So I don't know much about either of those. Are they rugby players? Who knows? Tommy says, didn't miss anything with George. Did I get that right, Tommy? Did he just talk up the importance of the main event tonight? And how it's a throwback to the Anzacs with Australia versus the Kiwis coming up? And it's only $59.99 on yet another monster night of No Limit Boxing. I know I'm being sarcastic. Jules was going to say the same thing to Tommy, like Dib's patience. Yeah, would have been tempted to come out fast after the way his last fight went. Yeah, well, he would have. But when you got 8 rounds, though, I suppose, what was the Bowler fight was 10, wasn't it? But you can see he's starting to up things here. And I think as the fight goes on, more so than the skill level, you'll see the strength and size and weight advantage that Dib has. Once Beauchamp starts to slow down, which he's already starting. He's got swelling under the right eye. So he's obviously worn one already. I think as the fight goes on, just looking at it now, you might find that when Dib really starts to put it into 3rd and 4th gears, I've got a feeling that Nort Beauchamp's not going to be able to go with him. Although he's coming forward as round 2 ends. So probably a clear round to Yusuf Dib in that one. Yeah, Mutty has got a decent jab, hasn't he? And I think it was Jamie said before, just one of the best in the business, Billy Akkaway. He's trained so many great fighters over the years here in Australia. Obviously the brother of Nadal and Hussein Hussein. Hall of Fame boxers now here in Australia. And very deserving too, I will say. And Hussey's still not on social media. So Hussey, just do something so we can at least stay in contact. Just a great guy. Is Hussey Hussein. All right, now I'm still focused on this one dislike. Who's going to dislike a live stream, guys? Wouldn't you just not watch? Anyway. All right, round number 3. So I would say 2 rounds to 0 for Yusuf Dib. Nort Beauchamp knows he's got to up the pace, so he comes out fast, but just that size difference between the two of them. And the fact now he's got the swollen right eye. He's a game little bugger, though. He took Brock Jarvis on, and Brock Jarvis at that weight was an absolute monster. Was it Brock? No, was it Sam or Liam? One of them. Who was it? Maybe I've got it mixed up. Sorry, just correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, I can't access BoxRec anymore because... where is it? All right, so... I think I'm going to go on the BoxRec now. All right, there we go. Let's see. I want to check his record. Nort to Beauchamp. The Assassin from Slam is his nickname. No, Siam, sorry. The Assassin from Siam. Christchurch, New Zealand, born in Thailand. Dislike probably from No Limit. Yep, that's probably Matty Rose watching the live stream. Sorry, guys. Hey, well, as I've always said, I don't have to answer to anybody, so. Oh, thanks, Devlin. Yep, both Sam and Brock. I thought that was the case. But in both fights, he had a crack. All right, so he lost early in his career. Now, he also beat... So he lost to Kai McKenzie, but he beat Joel Brunker. That was the fight I was trying to remember before. So he beat him back in 2018, and he was stopped by Brock Jarvis in 6, and then stopped by Sam Goodman in 6 straight after that. But again, one of these guys that just turns up. Jules, surely you have a VIP box cricket camp by now. Well, on my normal computer I do, but I'm on my phone at the moment, so... And it tells you to log in and you got to put this stuff in. I don't save passwords on my phone. But I check it probably 20 times a day, Jules. So, I should have gold access by this stage. So another pretty dominant round by Yusuf Dib. And I've just got, round 3 out of 8. I've got a feeling that this fight's not going to go the distance. Having said that, Nort Beauchamp, he'll be brave as hell. He'll hang in there, but... You can see Yusuf Dib really starting to now find his range, find his timing, and more importantly, starting to close the gap on Beauchamp. And I think you'll just see that. Oh, was that a hook that wobbled him there? Yeah, now he's really starting to carve him up. And saved by the bell, just as Yusuf Dib lands an excellent uppercut straight up the middle. So, look, another one-sided round through 3 for... Yusuf Dib. I've got a feeling this one's not going to go more than 5, I wouldn't have thought. Jamie, Dib versus Jalen Tate, good domestic fight. Well, this is the thing, Jamie. How many great fights? I understand in this instance that Jalen Tate is with Premier Boxing Series. But if Dib's not signed anyone, get that on 7 plus. The referee's in the corner at the moment discussing whether they're going to stop the fight. I would have thought give him at least one more round. I would have thought. But he's got to start showing something because he wore a lot at the end. Jules says Dib got a nice left hook. He's got a really good kit of punches overall, Jules. Throws good punches, nice and poised. I'm not quite sure about the power, but sometimes when the precision's right and timing's right, you don't need to be a big puncher. But you can see at the end of the round there, landed a few, especially that last uppercut up the middle. And he already looks a little bit unsteady on his feet, does Nort Beauchamp. Yeah, this ain't going further. That's a great right hand. Now he's following up on the ropes. This ain't going to go much longer, I don't think. I think Les Fear's going to have a real good look at this. Just no sense in probably going on from this point on. He's lost every round. Sometimes these guys are too brave for their own good. Nort Beauchamp's shown that in the past. Just a tough little fighter, but he's got no dramas moving up in weight. But I just think this time he's bitten off a little bit more than he can chew. But yeah, looking very unstable at the moment. Oh, good punches from Yusuf Dib. Good body punch as well over the top. Here comes the towel. So all over, guys, in the 4th round. Yusuf Dib gets the win over Nort Beauchamp. And he will move to 21-1. Nort Beauchamp will drop to 19-7-1. Good stoppage, I thought, from his corner. It wasn't the referee that stopped it. So I think a really good stoppage by Nort Beauchamp's corner. I mean, as they say in the old saying, he lives to fight another day. And when you've lost every round, and you're not going to win the fight. I got no issues with just calling it a night. No disgrace in that, and it saves him for another day. I think in this day and age as well, more than anything, we're seeing it a lot in the football and even cricket with these scans and stuff on the brain and that these days. There's Billy Dib, so all the best to him as well. Hope he's doing well. That they're getting more and more conscious of, excuse the pun, more and more conscious of the head knocks. So, and there's in the corner, there's Hussein in the corner. Good stuff. Good to see him there. So, yeah, as I said, really, really good stoppage by his corner. No need to take any more punches, and I think he served his purpose by giving Yusuf Dib some rounds. And as I said before, that live to fight another day. All right, Jules. Tommy. Yep, good work, corner. Yeah. And I think that's becoming more and more prevalent as well, Tommy, is that in the years gone by, the corner was like, just push them out. Oh, come on, you've got to be harder and tougher, and you've got to just hang in there. You never know what can happen. Those trainers are being weeded out. The old-fashioned trainers used to push the guys out there, regardless of how they were known. Oh, he's got another round in him. We can still win. I think it's really good these days that there's that relationship between the fighter and trainer where the trainers are saying enough is enough. And more importantly, the fighters aren't arguing, because it used to be go out on your shield, I'll die in the ring, all that sort of stuff. But I think common sense is starting to finally prevail, and there's no shame whatsoever in saying you've had enough. And there's a stoppage there. So, yeah. Where in years gone by, the fighter would probably cop it and probably feel a little bit offended that the fight's been stopped and he didn't go out on his shield. But in this day and age, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, you even look at I'm not quite sure what it's like in the rugby league, but in the AFL at the moment, they've brought in bringing in the mandatory time out of the game. It was, I think at the moment, it might be 2 weeks or 12 days. I think they're going to actually do what they do in boxing now and maybe extend it to 30 days, which I think is a great idea. Jules says, good work by the ref between rounds. Too early to stop the fight, but sometimes fighter and the corner need a friendly reminder of the option. Yeah. Well, I think I couldn't hear it, but I'm assuming that's what Les Fear said. Guys, is it time to pull the pin? And they probably said, oh, look, let's let him go out there and see what he's got. But you could tell by the first 5 seconds that he wasn't quite there. So, and was really struggling. And just that size difference. You look at him side by side at the moment. Yusuf Dib looks a good 5 or 6 kilos heavier, which at that weight is a hell of a lot of weight. So Yusuf Dib, 21-1. So what time is it? It's about 25 to 9. So we've got the 2 fights to go. So what have we got? Two 6-rounders, are they? What's the other fight? Seti. One thing I'm glad they've got right on these cards, by the way, is it being a Wednesday night. They've almost treated it like a football telecast. So it's a 3-hour process, and I think it's great. Pay-per-views are a little bit different. That's we might be here till midnight or whatever it might be. I think we all accept that. But these Wednesday night fights, 4 fights, although having seen what's happened with this event, maybe it's smart to maybe have 5 fights and have one on before the telecast actually starts, just in case you get a fight fall over, and you can elevate the other one up into the 4th position. All right, so Asias Seti and Tai Kian Kim is next. That's 6 rounds at 154. So it's probably going on schedule. You'd probably think, what's the main event? It's only 6 round as well. So we might be out of here by 9:30 the way we're going. No doubt they'll have some interviews and everything, although they haven't got anyone there probably at this stage that they probably could interview, because the Zoo boys are overseas. So what's the record of Tai Kian Kim? Let's have a look at him. All right. Let's just say not great. I'll get a comment by Tommy B there. And again, I don't know why they've brought him over. He's South Korean. Why would you bring a South Korean over to fight a 6-round prelim fight? Doesn't make sense, does it? When you've got so many 154-pounders here. What's that, Tommy? Announced today in local footy, going to be 21 days mandatory after concussion. Okay, well, I got no doubt at some stage you'll see it be 30, no doubt. So just on the opponent of Asias Seti, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Tai Kian Kim. So 8-1, 7 knockouts, which looks great on a fight poster, but let's have a look. All right, so his last... All right, let's go through the opponents. And I'm not doing this to rub salt into the wounds of No Limit, by the way. I'm just doing this as a boxing fan that's talking out loud, so we'll get that straight. So he fought Zach Bennett 9 years ago. He was 0-3. Sailor King was 2-4. His next opponent was 0-1. The next one was 1-3-1. The next one was 0-12. Although he did have a draw against Musavar Khan, who was 9-0. Actually, I might just see how he's going these days. So he hasn't fought since. There you go. He fought then a debutant. Then he fought another one who was 12-34-1. Next one was 1-0, and his last fight was 0-1. So not great records, but whatever. It's a prelim fight. I'm not going to scrutinise it too much for a prelim fight. agree, Lyndon. Remember one of those Wednesday shows, I think, involving Harry Garside main event didn't start till 11 and I was falling asleep. Yeah. This is the thing. I always look at the Americans, the way they do it. Now, they have even on the pay-per-views. I know they're on a Saturday night, whatever. The main event is on at 9 o'clock. So you're out of there 10, 10:15. Telecast is probably over by 10:30. Worst case. So, and there you go. They're actually interviewing Sam Goodman at the moment. I can't hear what he's saying, but that's what I like about it. Why is it just ingrained in Australian boxing that the main event's got to be on at 11 o'clock at night? It just doesn't make sense. Because we're there to watch the main event, and if you're going to have the undercard fights, that's great. Do what they do in America. They start them at 3 p.m. So they'll start the card at 3 p.m., have the prelim fights. The main card starts at 6, and the main event is on at 9 o'clock, done by 10 o'clock. Isn't that the way we should be doing it? Especially like when you go to Vegas, you're out of there by 10, out of the arena probably by 10:30, and let's go. It's Vegas. But, it just doesn't make sense to me, especially on a Wednesday night, which is why, as I said, I like what they're doing tonight. We should be, worst case, done by 10 o'clock, which is great. Jules says he's a Korean based in Australia. It doesn't say that, Jules. It just says he's, where does it say here? Resident South Korea. So, maybe he's over here training or something, which is why they've got him on. As I said, I'm not trying to, pick any more fights with no limit. It's a prelim fight, so who cares? But his record did say 8-1 with 7 KOs, which is pretty good. But as always, you got to look at the fine print. Tommy, North announcing retirement. Okay, well, that's probably a good thing as well. That's a really classy way to do it. Salute to that man. Seems a ripper bloke. He is. I've never actually met him, but from what I've heard, he's a champion player. And even just watching the interviews and and the lead up to his fights, he's always just in a really good mood and always brings it and doesn't always win, of course, but just a really, he's a fighter's fighter. And you need those type of guys in this where good, tough, durable fighters who can do what he did tonight, get in there with Yusuf Dib and give Yusuf Dib rounds and some quality rounds and not get too knocked around. All right, Jules, the record of Kim's opponents not far away from Tommy Fury's early opponents. Yeah, well, you said it, mate. I've had enough of laying the boots into No Limit. I don't think I'm going to be on the Christmas party list. Let's just say that. But look, as I've always said, I'm with all the comments I make, I've never got a drama saying it to the person involved. I never make it personal. So if George Rose or someone wanted to pull me up and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" I say, "Well, I'm just telling it the way it is. I'm sorry. Just that's the way it is. Pull your socks up." And it's look, I will say it's easy to say from sitting where I am. I've been a promoter. I did 20 odd shows, and it's bloody hard. It really is. You get the pull out. See what happened yesterday with the Wayne. It can happen. But having said that, you got a lot of forward planning to put on quality shows, and then you deal with the shit that does happen. Like say if there was a quality fight on and, a fighter's injured or gets sick or misses weight, whatever it might be. I mean, that's just shit happens. But it's the starting point that I'm not happy about. It's the fact that fight was scheduled a long time out from the event and they just couldn't get better fights lined up. So one thing I will say too, I'm looking forward to seeing Sam Goodman back in action. I think he's a great young talent. I can't wait till he gets his title shot. It's just the fact it's a pay-per-view. This had been headline in this card, I wouldn't have the drama with it at all. No dramas, but the fact we're being made to pay $50 for it, by the way, they've dropped it by $10. It's normally $60. They can probably do that because I doubt Sleeve's getting a big payday, and obviously there's no expenses involved. So, but I am looking forward to seeing Sam Goodman. I think he's a great young up-and-coming fighter. All right. So what have we got? So they should be bringing the other fight out in a minute. It'd be interesting to hear what he has to say. And we actually saw a side of him that we don't normally see, especially at that press conference. The fact that he slapped Mark Sleeves. A lot of people saying he should have been fined or whatever. Look, it is what it is. We've seen worse. Actually, just to change the subject for a sec. Excuse me, while we're in the intermission here, or Sam's talking. I seen it again today. Was it was it Adrian Broner and Bill Haney into it. Now, are the best fights we're getting on social media or at the press conference tables? All the big fights are happening there, and the fighters, when you think about it, the fighters are actually involved in it, except for probably Haney and Garcia, of course, and I'll get to that in a minute. But it seems all the talking's coming from the dads and the teams and whoever else that wants to get involved. We're hearing more from them than we are the actual fighters. So can someone please tell Bill Haney and John Fury and Teofimo Lopez's dad, just remember it's not about you. It's about your son. It's about your fighter. Can we hear them talk? Because it's like Bill Haney's like to Devon, just shut up while I have my moment. Bill, shut up. I don't want to hear what you have to say. Is it just me? I always feel like I'm getting old, but anyway. Jules, the last Korean I saw on an Australian card was a bloke who fought Kataev on Zoo versus Harrison. Yeah, the poor bugger. Any idea if Kataev is still based in Sydney? I think he is, Jules. I think he is. From what I've heard, he's going to be there for a couple of years, I think. Now, he's managed by Mike Altamura. I probably should ask him. He's a beast, isn't he? I was at that fight where he fought the Korean. And that was his pro debut, I think. Or was it? I think. Just a beast. Absolutely made mincemeat of that poor South Korean. I just don't think he had any idea what he was getting into. And you might wonder why No Limit would pay for a Russian to fight a Korean or South Korean on the card. That would have been, no doubt, probably funded by the management or promotion companies, I would say, and they just would have put them on that card for some exposure, I would think. I doubt that they would have done it out of the goodness of the heart. You do see it a fair bit. Actually happened to me, when was it? 2017, I think it was. Jai Pattaya was fighting the American, and he's that good I can't remember his name, but he was trained by Virgil Hill, and Virgil Hill brought him out here, and they were supposed to fight in Samoa. Tasman Fighters were going to promote it, and they had all sorts of dramas. I don't know whether it was with the government or the logistics of it all, but Stuart Duncan, rest in peace, Stuart, he obviously was in contact with Mick as well, and they decided to put that fight on one of my cards. And we had that fight, and Jai Pattaya absolutely ripped him to pieces in about a minute and a half. So the old Americans had to go. And this guy apparently had big rap, so I couldn't see it. But Jai Pattaya, as we've seen lately, look at the Isaac Harbin KOs, by the way, as we're going on here. Yeah, but Jai Pattaya, a first-round knockout. There you go. They're putting up the Head Splitters top 5. More so, look at that. Wow. No, I'm not that stressed about the MMA or UFC, whatever it is. But Isaac's going through his favourite knockouts. Oh, jeez. But yeah, on that Opatai card, I was very fortunate because that fight was put on my card and it didn't cost me anything. It was already paid for. So, great knockout this one. Julian Jackson, Harold Graham. Oh, every time I see that, boom. Big knockout. What's the number one he's got there? He's got himself. It's hard to argue, though. He's got himself as his favourite knockout. Oh, what a knockout that was. Holy shit. And I think I've said on here a few times, I promoted Isaac. I've actually promoted him about 3 or 4 times, but the first time I had him on the card was against Matt Sheehan, who you probably remember fought Connor Wallace last year, I think it was. And Matt Sheehan at the time was an up-and-coming sort of guy. So I'll just get a bit of stuff off my screen there. Up-and-coming young guy, Victorian. I was in Victoria, of course, in Melbourne. And we couldn't find him an opponent. Fought 2 weeks earlier, wanted to go again on the next card. I was actually on the card that Ibby Bella got knocked out on, actually. And Stuart rang me and said, I've got this guy from Queensland. He's an MMA guy. He's tough, but won't be able to fight that well. And back then, UFC fighters were whatever, tough, but not a lot of skills. So he set him down, and about 40 or 50 seconds into the fight, it was all over. I just nailed Matt Sheehan, and then the follow-up punches, just bang, 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 and it was all over. And he went and had a shower. Actually, he mightn't have even had a shower. He just got dressed and wanted to go back to the airport and jump on a plane and go home. Just business as usual for Isaac. He's a great guy, really, really good guy. Carl, geez, I think I hit the jaw break. Oh, what a knockout that was. That was against Bo Hardy, I think it was. So, yeah, it's hard to disagree with that as probably his best knockout, I would think. But yeah, a bit cheeky from Isaac to have himself as his favourite knockout. All right, what else is going on this week, guys? What else is coming up? What do we think about the weekend's fights, Joshua and Ngannou? All right, so boxing. Let's see what's going on in the world of the news at the moment. Oh, you were seeing obviously today, Jason Maloney is fighting. What was his name? Where is it? He's fighting Yoshiki Takai for in defence of his WBO bantamweight title. So that's on the undercard of Naoya Inoue and Lewis Neary at the Tokyo Dome. You remember the Tokyo Dome, of course. That's where Tyson was knocked out by Douglas. Jules, what a stitch up for Shane. Well, Jules, what I will say is that Matt Sheen's trainer was not impressed at all. And that's one of the hard things about being a promoter, because it wasn't my fault, but it was my fault, if that makes sense. Like, they wanted to fight, right or wrong. They wanted to back up. They had a good win 2 weeks earlier. They had a second-round knockout, I think it was, and he wanted to back up. I don't know what the rugby on for. But, yeah, they wanted to back up really quickly and on short notice. And I rang Stuart and said, we need an opponent for Matt Sheen. He said, I've actually got this guy up in Queensland. He's had one fight. He knocked out Lucas Miller, by the way, so not a bad win. So he upset Brian Amatruda's card as well, his guy, by knocking him out in the first round. And he said, I've got this guy from Queensland. He's an MMA guy. They're tough, but they can't fight. They can't box. They're just tough guys. And so ran it by the team, and they said, yes, we'll take it. And then after the fight, my name was Mud. And I was like, but you agreed to the fight. It's not my fault. But anyway, it's always the promoter's fault. Just ask George Rose. I didn't stitch him up, though, Jules, I promise. I wouldn't do that. He was actually one of my fighters. I'm not going to stitch him up. All right. Cole says, I think I'll be awake for the Parker fight, but I would like to see the Madrimov-Kurbanov fight as potential future fights for Tim Tszyu. Now, Cole, enlighten me on that. I thought the fight was off. But then I read today that it's on again. I heard that, was it Madrimov might have failed his medical. So obviously I'm wrong, because they're talking about it today. All right, so as I was saying, Jason Maloney fighting on that undercard. All right, as they interview Viliami Liava. All right, so what else we got there? Oh, what do we think of Ryan Garcia, guys? This guy's got some problems. I shouldn't laugh about it, to be honest, because it's not funny. His latest is that he was abducted by aliens, or he's seen an alien. The other one was that he's seen he was held down and saw some really bad shit. I won't say what it is on here, but I'm sure all you guys know about it. But the guy seems to be having a meltdown in real time, and it's a real shame. It really is. This is a guy, by the way, got the looks. He can fight. Probably not as good as he thinks he can, but he can fight. The matinee idol looks apparently worth $100 million, and he's having a mental breakdown. Right before our eyes, and even though a lot of people are probably, including me, are laughing about it, it's probably not. It's not a laughing matter. Looks like Kyle's back. Look out! Looks like I've got a co-host for tonight. It's Kyle Champion. How you going?
Thanks a lot, Lyndon. I just wanted to weigh in on Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, let us know.
He has lost it. That fight was with Haney. That's not happening. I think you can put a line through it. No, I don't. They've got Barboza lined up as a secondary option, but that one. But
I did see. Go ahead.
As for the Israel Madrimov Kurbanov fight, it was off, and then it was back on.
It's back on.
Power of Eddie, mate. No, it's great, because I want to see Madrimov versus Tim Tszyu.
Yeah.
I know it's not a big money fight, but stylistically, I like to see that fight.
Yeah, no, it is a really good fight.
And I think it'll be the best opportunity for Matchroom to take on No Limit,
Yeah.
And then you could just,
Yeah, no, it does make sense. And I did see that even Shakur Stevenson might have thrown his hat in the ring as well. How serious that was, I suppose we won't know. But what's that, Jules? Garcia was out of control at the presser. The Zone hosts were calling it a great event, but it was a bit tragic. I think it was anything but a great event, Jules. I just cringed through the whole thing.
Yeah, well, he's got problems. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a fan of Haney's father.
Just Bill, just shut up, mate. Let Devon talk.
These daddy's boys, These fathers talking for their sons. Let your son talk. You don't need to talk.
Nope.
They're grown-ass men.
Fuck. I'm just looking online at the moment, and there's a lot of stories saying that the fight won't happen as well. So, geez, it'd be a shame, wouldn't it, if it doesn't?
Lyndon, does that kid look sane to you?
Nah, he doesn't. He doesn't. Although Oscar De La Hoya doesn't seem too stressed about it all, and he'd know, but...
Oscar puts on the best game face you will ever see in front of a camera. But deep down, I think he's petrified. I think it's my take.
I think it's going to have to get to the stage where it's maybe taken out of his hands, where either his team or Oscar or the network even says, "Look, this guy really needs to get some help, and let's pull him out for now. Let's put something. We'll put who'd you say? Who's the other guy who said? Barboza, yeah, put him in for this fight, and let's hopefully get Haney and Garcia maybe in October, November.
Yeah, actually, Eddie did mention Paro because we thought Barboza might be fighting Paro, but he said the Subaru Matias fight might be back on, so we will see. But it is looking like Alvis Rodriguez, is it?
Yeah, Alvis Rodriguez. Yep.
But watch that space. So nothing's a lock yet. So we might get that shot because right now I can't see anyone else for Paro, and he needs a fight.
He does, and there's been. I hope he doesn't fall into the category of just waiting around, and nothing sort of eventuates.
Yeah. Well, you got to keep him active, and Eddie's high on that. Eddie's very high on keeping his fighters active, but even Dempsey McKean, I think he had the one fight last year, and then he had nothing.
Yeah, Hergovich, he lost.
Yeah.
Brock Jarvis was the same. He got beat. Yeah, Brock Jarvis, see you later. Go back to Australia. And what's going on with Brock at the moment? I know he's training. He looks good, but nothing scheduled.
Brock was signed with Matchroom, wasn't he? And then he got knocked out, and he wasn't signed with Matchroom.
I think with Brock, I reckon with Brock after that first fight he had in the States where he was almost knocked out by the Mexican guy, I reckon Eddie Hearn would have looked at that and went, "Oh, we might have a few issues here." And then, of course, Liam Paro did the job on him. And
one round.
Yeah, back to Australia, Brock. And look, he did fight, obviously, on with No Limit last year at one of their shows, but hasn't really been seen since. But he's another one, if he fights at, I don't know, let's say it's 154, even 160, there's some good fights out there for him as well. I'd love to see Isaac Hardman and Brock Jarvis go at it. I think it'd be a great fight.
Yep. Actually, Isaac Hardman's called out Ammo Williams. That's a fight I'd get around. I'd definitely jump on that fight. Yeah, granted, I don't think he's going to win it, but
yeah, it's an interesting one. Isaac's an interesting one for me because he can punch. I just see a few flaws in his actual technique, and I'm just not quite sure unless he corrects it, he's going to be able to go to that.
Well, Michael Zarafa found all his flaws in one round, and then he chinned him in the second.
Yeah. I think, to be fair, also to Isaac, I think he went out there a bit too aggressive and got caught cold. It can happen. You let the emotion, and that's the experience level of both fighters. I think you look at Michael Zarafa, that first round was nice and cool, calm, collected, didn't do a lot, just moved around the ring and didn't really throw a lot of punches. In the second round, when he took his chance, boom, it was all over. Where Isaac Hardman just pushed the fight, and that's where the experience level comes in, I think.
Yep. I'm really looking forward to his fight with Lara Zarafa. That's going to be.
What do you think?
I love. You know what? I think he's going to come to the end, but I think he might get enough points just to slide by. Tim Tszyu versus Thurman. Well, I don't know. I don't know if Tim is going. I know Tim's going to knock this bloke out, but I don't know when.
Yeah, I don't know.
He looked
I'm not sure he knocks him
like
out. I think he stops him, but yeah.
Yeah, Sean Porter has done a really good job of making this a contest in front of the media.
Mm.
But everyone else, like before this fight has even happened, they made up their minds. And Sean's like, "Hey, you're forgetting everything this man's done. He's still Keith one-time Thurman."
Yeah, and he is. No, he is. And look, I think Tim wins, but I'm look. I know we get a little bit sucked in down here because it's just all one-way traffic with the media.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't want to be biased. We try not to be biased.
Yeah.
We want to talk legit.
I think real fight fans know it's just sort of, as they say, the casuals. But I think Tim wins, but I just think it's going to be a lot harder than what a lot of people think. And I think I got no doubt that Tim and his team know exactly what they're up against, and they'll be prepared. I've got no dramas with that. But it's just the fight fan. Timmy's going to go in there and you know, you just got to get past that, look at it, and as I always say, there's levels. And Keith Thurman, I know he hasn't fought for 2 years, but as far as levels goes, he's right up there.
I prefer him much more than Lubin. Much more than Lubin, because without a title, Lubin doesn't have much to offer. He doesn't have a big fan base. Thurman is massive with the fans. And he's great. He's great with the media. Jeez. Well, if we could get him, Tony Harrison, and Sean Porter to handle the media down here, pay him $1 million. For God's sakes, just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, they I could just imagine. I don't think Lubin's a massive talker, is he? I know he's okay, but nowhere near as good as what Thurman is, and that's the thing. Like, I did see the exchange that Tim and Keith had over the weekend with Sean Porter, but that was entertaining. That's the way it should be. Back and forth, bit of banter, but none of these insults and all the other shit that goes with it.
Nah, it's clean talk. Like Keith is shit stirrer, and he's really good at it. But I thought Tim was much better this time than he was himself pretty well. Time.
Yeah, he did. If you look at that video, you can see the minute where the second that Sean Porter says, "Well, I've got a request from Tim Tszyu to come on the show." You can look at Keith Thurman's face. It's just like, oh shit. So what do we got?
It's funny because I was looking at Sean's face when he says, "I'm coming for your head. I'm going to knock you out in 2 rounds," and Sean's just pale. Yeah. Sean is completely pale, and I'm like, "You're trying to backtrack, aren't you, Sean?" I can see it in your eye.
Well, Jules says, did you guys catch Thurman's interview with Porter? Thurman 10-8, yeah. Oh, you thought Thurman won, did you, Jules? Look, I think, like he always does, Thurman probably got slightly the edge on. I wouldn't call it a 10-8 round, though, Jules. I think he might have just got the points, but I thought Tim actually handled himself pretty well.
Actually, you know what? I thought Tim got the knockout blow when Keith Thurman says, "I'm hungry." Hungry? You fought one fight in 5 years. How are you hungry?
Yeah. What's the ask button? Does anyone know exactly when the Madrimite fight is on? I don't know. Do you know, Kyle? Somewhere between 2 and 8, I would think.
You know what? I think it's a bigger fight, though. I'd love to. It's not going to be where I want it to be because I ain't getting up early again. I did it for the Katie Taylor.
Cameron
fight. Yeah. I got up early to watch the guys fight. And granted, that main event was, but yeah,
we've got a couple more comments.
All right, we'll get to it, Lyndon. I'll let you go.
Okay, mate. Talk to you a bit later on. All right, guys. So we've got Mutzi again. I can't remember who it was commented before, guys. Yeah, Shakur Stevenson has said that he will jump in with Devin Haney. I don't think Shakur Stevens is going to be on standby. But look, if he's given enough notice, maybe. But what are we, 6 weeks out? So I would think that if that was the case, they'd have to make a decision within the next week or two, or else I don't think Shakur Stevens, even him, would want to jump in there, even though he's probably training at the moment. But so we'll see. But what's that there? Mutzi, I've watched a few interviews with Thurman, and I can't disagree with anything he says. In my mind, Tim wins, but he certainly has me questioning myself. That's the thing, Mutzi. We all sort of laugh at his style or the way he goes about it, whatever. But I think he talks the truth, and I got no dramas with what he says at all. I think it's actually quite enlightening, to be honest. But as I said, I really did think that Tim handled himself really well the other day. Maybe not enough to get the 10-9, but even either way, it was a good back and forth, I thought. Tszyu stole that interview, Jules, in my opinion. Okay, all right. So we've got a few for Tim Tszyu. He was a bit cheeky too, wasn't he, Tim? Sort of midstream, it's Keith Thurman and Sean Porter with the Instagram Live, I think it was, and Tim's, and you can see in the car. I'm sure he was driving or not, but he was in the car, and because I think you could see a couple of people in the back, and he's like, "Yep, yeah, watch this, guys. I'm going to see if I can get on." And I thought it was really good, and a lot better and more refreshing than the shit that we saw with Haney and Garcia. It's just like I would think that. Like Devin Haney, this is the thing that gets me with Devin Haney as well. Now I know he's now is he Muslim or he's deeply religious anyway, so he doesn't drink and smoke and all the stuff that Ryan Garcia apparently does. But they talk about good examples and bad examples and everything else. I think Devin Haney is just as much to blame as Ryan Garcia with the shit that was coming out of his mouth, despite as well that he says it with. You know, Devin, you're a world champion, mate. You say, you know, you're saying that you're a role model and everything else, and you're, goody two shoes, whatever you're saying you are. Then how about you conduct your press conferences the same way? I understand there's the banter, I understand that, but he gets really, really angry and spiteful and nasty. So I just don't think you can point the finger at Ryan Garcia as far as being a bad example. I understand the alcohol and the smoking stuff and all the rest of it's no good, and it's not a good example. But I think Devin Haney's got just as much to answer for as far as the way he carries on. And his dad, by the way, his dad's worse. His dad should just shut up and stay out of it. I think John Fury's probably mellowed a little bit. We'll see how he goes in the Usyk fight, of course, but I think he's mellowed a little bit. As we see the two fighters line up here, guys. So this is Asias Seti and Tai Kyun Kim. Let's see what he's got. I didn't actually see who was in his corner. That might tell you something, because if it's obviously an Aussie, he might actually live here in Australia. I didn't catch that. All right. So here we go. Round number 1. An 8-rounder this is. No, they've got the last slide from the last fight up. Dib and Beauchamp. I'm pretty sure it's only 6. Yes, 6 rounds at 154. He's got a bit of skill, Sete. I'm surprised that he's 2-2-1, because he shows a bit more than that. Especially against Campbell Somerville. Very, very impressive. But he did lose his last fight, I think. Let's have a look. He did. He lost to Ruslan Salamian, who was 5-0, who's now 6-0. Russian. So that fight was on, where was that card? Cabramatta. Who promoted that? Jason Soro. Don't know Jason, but all right. Well, Sete looks like he wants to get it over and done with pretty quick. But Kim looks like he's it doesn't look too bad. Got some good footwork in that there. See what happens when he gets hit. Oh, good body shot there from Sete, left to the ribs. I wouldn't be sitting there if I was you, buddy. He's sitting on the ropes waiting for Sete to tee off, and he can punch. So it's 1 of 6, yes. So Asias Seti and Kyun Kim. Sete 2-2-1. Kyun Kim. Oh, that left hook starting to get through. I don't like that. Oh. And Kyun Kim 8-1. Fight number 3 on the first No Limit on Fox event for the year. Yeah, he looks. Oh, you can just see that left hook getting through. Oh, nice right hand. So I can't hear the commentators, but I'll be thinking that they'd be saying that Kim better just move a little bit more than he is, or this could be an early night. Looks like he's got okay skills. He's just open when he punches, especially for that left hook. Okay, he's coming back with a few, but doesn't look like he's a Massive puncher. Oof. Bit low there, Kim, yeah. So that's the end of the first round, guys. And a pretty clear-cut round for Isaias Seti. Looked good. Coming forward, good kit of punches. And got to be a little bit worried about Kim, that he's definitely open to that left hook. Just tends to punch. If he punches with his right, his left hand's down. If he punches with his left, his right hand's down. So either way, he's open to either counter hook or a overhand right. And this guy can punch. There's my dog there. Come here, buddy. No. He's saying stuff you. Yeah, as I said, really surprised that he's 2-2-1. He's a good kid, really good young talent. And I think as he gets a few more fights under his belt, he's going to be quite a good fighter. All right, round number 2. Both in the black trunks, Sete with the gold trim. Kim in all black. On the back of the head there. So I still didn't see who was in his corner, whether it was an Australian team or was it a Korean team. So I'm not sure whether he's still based here. Have you guys seen it? Make sure you put it in the chat. So a little slower. Oh, that's not a bad left hand. So a little slower to start round 2, but I think we're going to see some fireworks in this one. Coming forward a bit now, Kim. He's got his tail up a little bit. Yeah. The other thing I've always been a bit of a critic of as well, and I know I'm always seen to be criticising the No Limit shows, but when they've got these shows on now, they're obviously not big crowds, especially being a Wednesday night. Although tonight doesn't look too bad, but if they haven't got the grandstands or any, like, it's a very shallow crowd around the ring, and it's not too bad. I'm not sure how many are just family and friends or whatever, but we would have thought maybe they could set it up like a studio and put curtains around the walls and just black it out and have a bit more of a lighting show and make it a bit of a studio event. Either that, I think I've said on here before, either that or open up and just have free entry and let 1,000 people in and make it a really good atmosphere. But maybe a little bit better than last year's, because from memory it was in a little basketball court or something, unless this is the same one. But this one does look a little bit better, because last year it seemed like there was like 100 people in the crowd. So is that a little bit more success this round, Kim? Landed some good shots. I reckon he almost would be winning this round. Sete just looks like he's just slowed a little bit. And all of a sudden Kim's landing a couple. Keep your head up there, buddy. So 30 seconds to go. And I think Kim is actually winning this round, although Sete does land it. Oh, there you go. Big left hand from Kim. And I think that is it. What a counter left hand. That is it. That is over. No, he's up. Surely you got to stop it. No, it's all over. Wow. Big shot from Kim. And it's all over. Sete's been knocked out in the second round. That is a great knockout. Sete had it all his own way and just got countered with a beautiful left hand and all over. I think in this situation too, with his team, I just pull him back and say, let's just give him a couple of minutes before we go over. You see a lot of boxers, they rush. I know it's adrenaline and everything else, but they run straight over to the corner while the guy is still a bit uneasy and obviously a bit emotional, and the corner are emotional as well. See the replay there. Oh, big left hand. Yeah, right hook that set it up, and a big left hand that finished the job. Don't forget too, guys, to like the stream if you can. It's good for the algorithm, apparently. Nice F10. A little bit of a cross between an uppercut and a hook, wasn't it? Just a beautiful shot. Beautiful shot. And that's it. That's all it takes, guys. You could see he was actually in a lot of trouble as far as going on when he tried to get up and stumbled and went down again. That's a big loss for him, though. I'm sure they would have had big plans for him. So it drops to 2-3-1. And for such a good young fighter, not a great record, but big left hand. Yeah, that's a big knockout, though, isn't it? So that's it for fight number 3, all over. Yeah, the poor guy's pretty shattered, and that's to be expected. Oh, so there you go. He's got Brendan Smith in his corner. That says, I'm not sure he's his regular trainer, but he is. That says a lot as well. So, yeah, Brendan Smith, one of the best trainers in Australia as well. Guides his fighter. What was his name again? Kim? Taekyon Kim. Second round knockout. All over. Yep. Geez, that's an upset. Maybe not to their team. All right. What do you think, Kyle?
Ouch.
Yeah.
Caught him with the shovel hook.
Big shot, wasn't it? It was a cross between an uppercut and a hook, all over.
Oh. Yeah, well, shovel hook, from underneath. And yeah. Yeah, but anyway.
So Sete pretty disappointed there, but he just got nailed. He got a little bit careless, and that's all it takes is one shot, all over.
Well, this bloke had a pretty good record, though, Lyndon. Sorry, I'm just bringing him up.
8-1, I think it was.
Yeah, 7 knockouts. Shit.
Yeah. So it was just the caliber of opponents that probably left a bit to be desired, but he could still punch, obviously.
Korean was good.
Yeah. So, as I said before, like the fact that Brendan Smith's in his corner, I might have changed my tip if that was the case, but I thought he was just coming over. So obviously it makes sense why a question, why a South Korean would be on the card for a prelim fight. That's obviously why. He's training up with Brendan Smith, and they brought him down, and he's caused the upset.
Yeah, he hit him on the sweet spot too.
Yeah.
Jeez, just right underneath the chin, just... Oh, jeez.
All over.
It's the one spot you don't want to get hit. It's all right if you're getting hit on the top of the forehead, but as soon as you cop it in the chops, it's going to hurt like hell.
Yeah, that's it. So that's so what are we down to the main event now? So I keep forgetting his name. Viliami Liava, who's suddenly a superstar, if you listen to George Rose, and Anton Markovic. So Markovic is... he's gone from a prelim fighter to suddenly being the superstar. All right, so he actually got another fight lined up in a couple of weeks' time against Peter Miria. So that is...
Okay.
Where's that fight? That's Bankstown. So let's hope he doesn't get stopped tonight.
Is that Liava? What is that?
So...
Yeah,
so Viliami Liava. Now his record. So he's 6-1. So he got stopped in his last fight by Benjamin Hussein. So that fight was on. Now what card was that on? Oh, okay. So that looked like it was. Okay, that was on Wildfighters card. Blake Wells and Singh. Okay. There you go. So.
Changing the topic, Lyndon. It's great that Jason Maloney is going to be fighting in Japan, but does that mean Andrew Maloney is going to be fighting on the Kambosos card?
Yeah, it will be. Yeah. I can't say exactly who. I do know who he's fighting, and it's a good fight for him. Really, really good fight for him. But that'll obviously be.
But it's not a title fight.
I think it is.
It's not a title fight.
I
was getting Tanaka.
It's a title fight. I don't think it's one of the big four. Let's just say, but. Anyway,
so it's an IBO title.
Whatever it is, it's a massive fight in the scheme of Andy's career. I know he wants the Tanaka fight, But this guy is a very established, very, very well-credentialed opponent, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when it gets announced. But it's going to be a big one for Andy. So he'll be the third big fight on the card. Of course, Jason's fighting in Japan a week earlier. So I think I think Andy was saying they're going to have to just work out logistics, like a little bit like they did last year with the Stockton and Las Vegas situation. So whether Andy goes over there and does his training camp with Jason, and they all fly home together in fight week, I suppose it's still got to be determined. I think that's what would happen because, I mean, if Angelo Hyder, you'd probably have to be with Jason over there, a month out, I would probably think. So, Andy could probably stay at home and train with, say, Tony Nobbs or someone like that. But still, I think he'll go over there. But he doesn't know yet. I think they've got to work it out.
Yeah, well, it looks like Japan are trying to get fighters over to their country because that's where all the money is.
Yeah.
And they're getting Emmanuel Rodriguez in there as well. I hear he's fighting another Japanese opponent.
I'm not sure.
He's fighting Ishida, and Jason Maloney's fighting Ishida.
Yeah, okay. Let me have a look at... I know he is fighting a Japanese fighter. I just can't remember who it was and where it was. So the main event, says Lieutenant Dan. Don't forget somebody, somewhere, anywhere, make some noise and throw your things up in the air and let's get into it. I know I'm being a bit sarcastic, but we love
yeah.
He's a good guy, Lieutenant. He was my announcer on a lot of my shows too. So he's 22-2 Rodriguez. So he's fighting Ryosuke Nishida. Yes. Now that is...
Yep, he was fighting Nishida. Yep.
That is in Osaka, Japan, for the IBF belt on May the 4th.
So every belt in the bantamweight will be fought in Japan.
Yeah.
Good stuff. No, that's good, but...
it's all happening in Japan and Saudi Arabia at the moment, isn't it? As Anton Markovic jumps in the ring. See what he's got.
Yeah. I'd hate to see anyone fight Nakatani, I tell you now. That bloke is like a praying mantis on bloody... Ooh.
How good?
He's good. He's damn good.
How good would a Nakatani Inoue fight be?
Off the charts, but you know what I think they're going to do? I think they're going to go Rodriguez versus Nakatani, and they're going to go Maloney versus Inoue, and the winner of those fights gets elevated to fight the undisputed. And I love the way the Japanese are doing this. They're not screwing around. They're getting the fights that are meant to be made.
Yeah. So you've got all the lighter weights happening in Japan and all the heavier weights happening in Saudi Arabia. And in the meantime...
everyone in the middle... You can't get the fights that you want.
And in the meantime, you got all their big fights in between, and all they're doing is haggling between each other and spending more time on social media carrying on than they are actually getting fights made.
Leo, Tank. Oh, they're all the same. Shit.
So we've got Lava, 22 years old. Markovic is 21 years old. I think this will be a really good scrap. No, I think it will be, but...
me too.
We'll just have to see. So let's get into it, Carl. We'll get in.
Yep, sure. I'll jump in later, Lyndon.
Okay, mate. All right. All good. Oh, I think we're back there. Yep. All right, guys. We're into the main event of the evening. So who's his trainer? I'm not quite sure who his trainer is there. So he's 3-1 with 0 KOs. So that's Anton Markovic. All right. From Auckland, New Zealand. Pretty sure he's based in Victoria now, which is why he was on the Wildfighter card. All right, so 6-1 with 1 KO. So Viliami Liava. Okay. Here we go. So we're going to go to the centre of the ring. So as I said, I think we're still going to get a very good fight. It's just unfortunate that obviously it's not main event worthy, but still a good undercard scrap I would be hoping for in this one. Both boys look like they're ready to go. Excuse me for a sec. Good there, man. Just my little dog again. Hey, buddy. Ready for bed. All right, round number 1. Yeah, he actually doesn't look too bad. I can remember his name. There you go. Liava. Yeah. So it does look like he likes to switch hit. So first round of 6, 154. Oh, nice hook there from Liava. And if he gets through this, he could be in there with Nikita Zoo next month, actually. So Markovic has definitely come to fight, no doubt about that. But Liava looks like he's got some good skills. So it does look like we're going to get a good scrap. Nice high guard from Markovic. I like that coming forward. Doesn't look overly fast though, and I'm not quite sure he should be leading with the right hand when you're that slow. Although good overhand right there. Good jab from Levi, but he is open to that overhand right. I think that counter overhand right. So we'll see if Markovic can do it if he places it right. Markovic just going for it. So good first round so far. Good, nice, even first round. Yeah, buddy, I'm going to sit down there. Oh boy. Nice uppercut from Markovic too. Liava tries to counter with an uppercut. Well, I really don't like the fact that Liava already is jabbing from his face, but bringing it back to his hip. You can just see a counter right hand coming, and good night. I'm not quite sure what's happening with the comments here. Whether there we go. I've missed some. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. I was just stopped. All right, we'll go down there. All right. What's up? What are your thoughts on Sete? I think wearing the chucks. Hang on. I'll go back. Yeah, for some reason it wasn't scrolling, guys. I thought we'd stopped. All right, sorry about that. We'll get to a few comments in between rounds. Good round though. I think Markovic got that round. To be honest, what did you guys think? Where is it? I'm just trying to get to. Sorry, apologies about that, guys. I haven't been replying because the chat just stopped. I'll try and get to the end. All right, I think I'm there now. All right, round number 2. So I gave that first round to Markovic in a pretty close fight, close round. All right, so Sparkling Fob says, is the AJ fight on Saturday morning? Yes, it is. I must admit I thought it was Sunday, like usual, but no, it's on Saturday morning. Good to see Will refereeing our best ref by far. Yeah, I think he is too, mate, Tommy. Where was that comment? There it is. What are your thoughts on Sete wearing the chucks? Yeah, I didn't really take any notice, although we did see the soles of the shoes, didn't we, in the end there? Turned into a pretty good fight, this. So Jules says regular sparring partner of Nikita. Smithy's gym, okay. So this is the for the knockout. So again, apologies for that, guys. Mutsy says, yeah, Big George could sell ice to the Eskimos. Yep. Glenn, no, it's not pay-per-view, mate. It's free. Just imagine the uproar if it was pay-per-view. Yeah, Jules Markovich got that Tim Zoo style. He actually has, hasn't he? There it is. Is he going to get up? Oh, no. I'm just thinking of poor old George. He's been counted out. Markovich. Say hello to Nikita Zoo's next opponent, guys. It's not going to be, what's his name? He'll be forgotten pretty quick, whatever his name is, Liava. Say good day to his new opponent, Nikita Zoo, and that knockout's going to be shown 100 times in the lead-up. I'm glad that actually, well, not glad it happened, but I'm glad the sort of result happened, because watching him, even in the first round and a half, Nikita would have made an absolute mincemeat of him. Markovich will, I think he'll come to fight against Nikita. I don't think he's anywhere near Nikita's league, but he'll come to fight. I really like his style, his kit of punches. And as I said, this will be Nikita's next opponent. But you can already see they're slowing down in 2 rounds, not a good sign. And body punches. Left hook to the body it was. Beautiful punch. Yeah, and I'm just trying to get a better angle of it. Oh, well, Markovich wasn't actually... Just a sec there, Kyle. I've just got another one coming through there. So, it wasn't mentioned that Markovich, or the winner of this fight, could be the next opponent. It was all about if Liava wins, that he'll fight him. So I wonder if now, I think it's actually turned out really well, because they've got a highlight reel knockout now. Not now. He's not ready for not fighting Nikita Zoo. And that's what happens, guys. This is why we love boxing, because anything can happen. And Anton Markovich has probably just earned himself a nice little payday for a Nikita Zoo fight. So I've just got a couple of messages coming through there. And that's the way you do it, guys. Wow. And it is 9:30, and the fights are over. That's how how it goes. What was the last one? Was that 2 rounds as well? Was it? Who was that in that one? Yeah, 2 rounds, and this one's 2 rounds. I got to say though, guys, I don't know about you, but I'm not actually that disappointed by the card. I think it's, of course, let's forget about everything we've spoken about, but the fights on it were okay. I'm actually not too stressed that it's finished by 9:30, to be honest. So if you've got any questions or whatever in there, let's put them in there, guys. We'll keep going for another 15 minutes or something, and if you've got some comments there, anyone wants to come on. So Liava shouldn't have been sitting on the ropes like that. Yes, especially when you've got a puncher in front of you. Not that I think he'd had a KO up to then, but Dundee Luke, a night of upsets. Thanks for the watch, Long Lyndon. No worries at all, mate. As I said, I'm not quite sure how exciting it was, but all right, Kyle, we'll get you on quickly. What'd you think, Kyle?
Oh, wow. This guy was supposed to fight Nikita Zoo, and he got dropped.
Well, does Markovich give Nikita Zoo anything to worry about? I think he's tough.
He's tough. He's tough, but you know what? It's that game style that Nikita has, it feels like it falls into his hands. And like, I remember when Dylan Biggs fought him, and Dylan was in control that first round, and then the second round, he got greedy. He got so greedy, and he got sloppy. And Nikita, he just started punching holes in him.
Well, it's just a matter of whether he can obviously withstand Nikita's onslaught, because he's certainly, Liava certainly didn't give him anything to sort of worry about. I got worried as soon as he was throwing uppercuts from up the middle without sort of moving his head or anything like that. It was always, there was a little bit of a worry, but that body shot. But the guy's tough and hard. He can obviously punch a little bit. So, I wonder if he actually gives Nikita something to think about.
Well, it's just a game of patience. Like, Liava, he started off really well. I thought he started off well. I thought when he was on the outside, he looked like that dominant kind of boxer puncher style. But Markov, he just took his time. And he hit his shots, and he was countering perfectly. Perfectly.
Well, there's George Rose with a big smile on his face. I reckon at the moment he'd be rubbing his hands.
A smile on his face. Yeah. Like, geez, he was supposed to give this Kiwi, who was supposed to be the next big thing, and he can't even do that. So
I would think that George Rose would be rubbing his hands together. He's got an opponent for Nikita Zub. So, and I think this guy, the Levi, that would have been a first or second round knockout with Nikita, no problem. So I think Markovic, I don't think he'll really have a chance of really beating Nikita, but he looks like he's tough and hard and will be there for a few rounds.
No, there's only a couple more domestic fights Nikita can have. I think it was it Ben Maloney?
Ben Mahoney,
welterweight?
Yep.
Mahoney. And, geez, who else? Yeah, Ben Mahoney, Wade Ryan, and I would like to see Sparky have one more fight.
Yeah.
I know he's retired, but give him a big fight. Give him Nikita. See what he can do.
I don't think they'll put him with Wade Ryan, not because they're worried about him losing, but we saw how cagey and awkward that Ben Horn was, and Wade Ryan is twice as cagey and awkward as what Ben Horn is. And I think that'd just be a messy fight, and I don't think he'd learn too much. Now, I got one to throw out to everyone out there. I said before about, say, Brock Jarvis with his weight. Now, if he fights at 154, that would be a ripper fight. Brock Jarvis, Nikita.
Ended him quickly. What do you think Nikita's going to do to him?
Nah,
granted, Para's more experienced.
Different type of fight. Liam Para, he just caught him cold. He caught him cold.
Yeah, no, look. Liam Para,
and Brock Jarvis probably would have had to waste away to make the weight. He's going to be, 14 pounds heavier, so 6.5 kilos heavier. Big, strong, not having to waste away at all. And learnt from the Paro fight. The Paro fight, as I said, he just got caught cold. It doesn't matter what weight you fight at. If you get caught cold, you get caught cold. I think that, for me, would be the best domestic fight for Nikita Zhu. And it's probably got I know Jeff's not part of it now, but so it lacks a little bit. But I reckon that fight would be a great one for this kind. And I would happily pay for that one on pay-per-view.
There was another one. Koazendo, is it?
Koa Mazudia, yep.
Koa Mazudia, that's the one.
Yeah, well,
he's another option for him.
Yep.
He's an option. So there are a couple of more domestic fights, but I think Nikita's got one more year at domestic level.
Yeah.
And then he goes to the States. And then he gets ranked.
Yeah.
Because there are a couple of United States fighters I would not mind him fighting. Like, I think it was Jason Spencer or something like that. Someone Ramos fought, but Ramos just owned him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see. All right, mate. Well, that's going to be it for tonight's event anyway, I suppose. It's a bit of a warm-up. We'll do it again next week for Schliebs and Goodman if anyone else wants to come on. You've seen the way it's done. Kyle's done it a few times tonight. So if anyone else wants to get on to go.
Opportunity. Jump on.
Come on, have a talk.
I was the only one. I see what you were talking about before, Lyndon. Like, it's so hard to get people online. It's like, just jump on.
That's cool. I understand it, but but it's just good if anyone wants to come on for a chat.
I I do want to get an Aussie roundtable going sometime in the future.
Yeah.
And thank you for letting me come on.
No worries, buddy. We'll catch you next
Cheers,
week.
mate. Good night.
All right, guys, that's it for the show. Really appreciate you all tuning in. As I said, it was just a little bit of a warm-up episode to see how we do it. I really was conscious to see how the whole laptop thing would work and being in a different setting and trying to work it all and while watching the fights at the same time. But no, I thought it was quite enjoyable. As I said, we'll do it again next week for the pay-per-view with Sam Goodman and Mark Schliebs. And if you want to join in, I'm not quite sure what the time the telecast starts. I'm assuming at 7 o'clock again. So we'll be here. If you're not going to get it, I'll be here to sort of guide you through what's happening, if that's what you want to do, if you don't want to pay the $50. But either way, I'll be here, as I said, again next week. So thanks again for everyone joining in. And hopefully we'll see you next Wednesday. But worst case, we'll see you next Monday for Talking Boxing. Catch you guys.